Okay, let's look at some inequalities. In problem A, we're going to draw our river, and we're focusing on this side to start with because this is the side with a variable. The e is what we want to get by itself, which means that we need to get rid of this division by -3. So we know in order to get rid of division, we multiply, and we're going to multiply by the number we're trying to get rid of, which is -3. So I multiply by -3 on the left side, and I multiply by -3 on the right side. Okay, the way that it works over here is really, you can write it as a fraction since this is a fraction, and you can see that the -3 is on the top here and on the bottom here, and they cross cancel, so they're gone. So I'm left with e over 1, or just plain old e. Now I'll come over here, -12 times a -3 is going to be a positive 36. All right, and now I remember that whenever I'm multiplying or dividing by a negative on both sides, what do I have to do with the symbol? I have to flip it around. So instead of greater than, it's now, oh, my boyfriend, less than. Remember, it looks like an L. Okay, so I'm going to put 36 on my number line. I know it is an open dot, and now the arrow is going to point exactly in the same direction. In fact, I could just write that same symbol, right? And then just kind of connect it to the dot. Okay, so now in my check, I don't want to choose 36. I want to choose a number from my arrow. Well, this is eventually going to get down to 0, and 0 is a really easy number to work with, so that's what I'm going to check with. So I'm going to put in 0 here, okay? So 0 divided by -3, well, of course, is 0. And now I bring down, that's what this arrow is there for, just to remind you, you just bring down -12 and you cross your fingers that it's right. Well, 0 is greater than any negative number, and so it looks good to me. Moving on to B, I'm going to draw my river. And I'm looking now at the right side because this is the side with the variable. And I ask myself, ugh, how can I clean this up a little bit? I got double signs and they're always confusing. Oh, I know. I can leave, change, opposite. So really what this winds up being, and you don't have to write this step, but I just like to because it's a little bit easier for me to read. It's really D plus 0.7 now. And now we know what to do with that. We need to subtract. So we need to subtract 0.7 from both sides. The nice thing about this one is we don't have to borrow or anything. 8.7 minus 0.7 is just plain old 8, or 8.0. Because I did not multiply or divide by a negative, I don't do anything with this symbol. It just stays exactly the way it is. So my answer right now is 8 is less than or equal to D. But I don't want my D at the end. It gets too confusing. I really like my variable to come in the front. So I need to flip-flop everything. So instead of 8 is less than or equal to D, I'm going to say D is greater than or equal to 8. Okay? So now I'm going to put 8 here. It's a closed dot, and my symbol points this way, right? So it's going to point this way in my arrow. See how it matches? And I'm going to connect. Okay, so now I want to pick any number from the arrow that works. And, you know, like here's 10. Well, 10's a nice easy number to work with. So I'm going to put in 10 and see if it works. Okay, this little arrow just reminds me to bring this down. And now I come over here and I really do the math. Well, I need to leave, change, opposite. 10 plus 0.7 is 10.7. And I ask myself, is this right? Well, 8.7 is definitely less or equal to 10.7. So it looks good to me.